Welcome back to the Unknown Angler. Striper season is coming up, so we're going to do the Gartside Gurgler today. We're going to start with a 2/0 Tarpon hook by Mustad. I love these hooks. They're really light and they work well with the Gartside Gurgler. We're going to do some 140 denier white thread. Change the thread color for your fly color. You can modify this fly in multiple ways. This is modified from the original. I'm using what I would consider the most up-to-date materials on this fly. I'm going to start with some select craft fur. It's about a 3 to 4 inch tail on this. You can also use bunny strip here, or zonker strip, whatever you want to call it. A 2 to 3 inch portion of bunny is just fine also. Okay, so then cut off your craft fur and tie a nice little neat underbody. Try to be as neat as you can in here. It will help with your other fly tying, plus it'll help with this fly. It'll keep a nice even body. Anyway, tie in some crystal flash, 3 full strands, tie it in at half length and then wrap it over the fly. Tie it in on the back side so you get crystal flash all around the tail. And cut it off at, I would say about a 1/4 inch less. Just a slightly less than the length of the fly tail. Then we're going to tie in some foam, 1/8 inch foam. Tie a little arrowhead shape on the front so that you have a nice taper. Tie it on top of the hook. Don't tie it down too tightly. If you pull on that thread too tightly, you will cut through the foam. But lash it down tight enough to keep it in place. Everything else you'll be doing will probably keep it in pretty good shape anyway. I'm going to add some Game Changer chenille here. This is clear. I have switched up from the regular cactus chenille. This seems to shed water quite well. It aids in casting and doesn't hold the water as much. So it does float a little higher in the water column. By the way, this is not a popping bug you're building. This fly will dive down under the water. Depending on how you fish it, it'll dive down up to 1 foot. But you can keep it right in the surface film or even right on top, depending on how you do the action. The foam will keep it up on top. Anyway, tie off at least a hook shank or 2 from the head. And now we're going to add a fish skull by adding a little UV epoxy. Put the UV epoxy in. This is the thick stuff so that it doesn't flow all over the place. Push the fish skull back and then hold it in place while you're using the UV light. Listen, you don't need to use eyes on this. You don't need to use the fish skull. You could finish it off right now. I like the eyes. The fish skull makes it very easy. Makes it just really, really simple to add eyes to it. And it also gives a platform for the foam. The foam has a certain shape you're trying to get out of it, and it's really easy to get that shape when you use the fish skulls on it. Anyway, once you're done there, tie the foam down and whip finish underneath. Now you're ready to just trim that foam and you're almost all done. Yeah, just flip the fly over, trim the foam at the top. Yeah, cut 2 little 45s on the side. I don't know why you do this. I think it looks better. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but kind of gives the fly a little bit nicer set in the water. Now just add the eyes. They go in those nice little pop-out holes that are in the fish skulls on both sides. Now we're going to cover all of this with UV epoxy. And I do this in several stages. I cover the eyes, then I'll cover the underneath side. I'll use the UV light on it, Flip it over again. Coat the other eye on the other side. Coat the thread underneath. Hit it with the UV light again. Doesn't take that much time. Probably adds another minute or two to making the fly. The reason I put so much epoxy on these is because I tend to lose eyes, obviously. So the more epoxy you put on there, by the way, these are thin coats of epoxy. I'm not, dripping the epoxy out of it. Three thin coats of epoxy or 2 thin coats of epoxy over the eyes usually holds them in place. And you're done. You can dye this in multiple colors. Comes out great. See you next time.